I'm Antoinette, and I'm half of the married couple. That is of the film A Married Couple that Alan King made. I know a lot of people wonder why it is anybody in their right mind would get engaged in such a project. It took Billy a little while. It took about 2 weeks, I think, for him to be persuaded that this was a good thing to do. But I thought it would be great right from the beginning. I didn't have anything to hide. My marriage had a lot of warts, but everybody's marriage has ups and downs and things, and I figured we could learn from it. One of the things that Alan had told us was that we could see the rushes. So we did. We saw the rushes, and in looking at them day after day after day, we could see the patterns and the things that we did to each other. And so we figured, of course, we can change that behavior and we'll fix it. We saw a behavior where we were not fair to the other one, where we were very competitive with each other. We weren't rude and nasty people to each other, but we were always in a type of competition, it seemed to me, always striving for place. And I guess who was first in the relationship? The age difference of almost 10 years, again, was a big problem because we knew different things, and he seemed to know so much, and I seemed to know so little in relation to it. So then I became dependent, or I came into the relationship with that sense of dependency. And then you see, of course, as we spent time together and I was getting older and more aware of the world around me, then I began to assert myself. And that didn't work out very well. Billy very much wanted to call the shots. He was the man. He was the head of the household. He was a bit of a chest thumper, you know. And yet when we talked about it, he would say that he wasn't that way. So I think, you know, in looking at it, that he was very controlling without my really being aware that that is what he was doing. I needed to have that brought to my awareness, you know. The film helped our marriage enormously at first. We thought, this is it. We know what we're doing wrong. We'll stop it. We'll stop the various types of behavior. And because of that, a wonderful thing took place, and we had a daughter. She is just one precious girl. Well, it wasn't very long before things began to really fall apart again. I basically remember my marriage to Billy as having been a good one. It's hard to deal with the fact that it failed because there was so much in it that was just wonderful. Very difficult to deal with the fact it didn't work out in the end. And I have no misgivings about the fact that we should have separated. we definitely should have. I have no regrets about that. No. In spite of all the discord, we didn't have physical violence in our marriage. I know there's a scene in the film where I think I'm vacuuming down at the bottom of the stairs or something, and Billy's in his orange jumpsuit, and I started to go out the door, and he pushed me out the door, and then I think I pick up a big beach ball and toss it back in. I mean, you couldn't hurt anybody with that big ball that I threw at him. But I know for a lot of people, this scene exhibits a lot of anger. And I know for a lot of people that disturbed them, and they thought that it was like abuse, wife abuse, and which wasn't even a term that was used in those days. But I can tell you there was no physical abuse in that marriage. And that scene does look worse than it is. But it really wasn't very bad. I think the crew was with us for about 7 weeks. They came on a daily basis at 6 o'clock in the morning and right through. So, I mean, Richard Leiterman was shooting it, and Chris Wangler was doing the sound. And Alan was not there all the time. They came and they waited for the day to unfold and for us to participate in the day, our day. As much as you can forget the presence of anything foreign in your environment, I got used to them. Billy got used to them, but I always felt that Billy performed a little bit for the camera. So how much he actually could distance himself, I'm not sure. Alan had set out, I believe, to show the joys and sorrows of a marriage. And the sorrow part does come out a lot more. People don't, when they see a married couple, when they think back about it, they don't think back about the humor that was in it. And there's a lot of humor in it. So Alan chose to put in those slices of life that he wanted to say what it is he wanted to say. But there were many other things that were shot that were of a very positive nature, you know. So I'm afraid I'm the one that has the feelings of how the marriage was. And so for me, that's what the truth is, whatever that might be. We both Billy and I felt that the film was an accurate portrayal. We didn't feel that it was untruthful. But it wasn't really our marriage, you know. It was aspects of our marriage put together. And when we saw it, we were pleased with it. We didn't think that it was particularly biased. I think sometimes viewers, I mean, the response that we used to get was sometimes you'd hear, oh, love him, hate her, you know, or you'd get love her, hate him, or he was so right, what is the matter with her? I mean, one time in the theater, somebody hollered up, "Shut up, you bitch." And that was me. They meant me.
Were you there?
I was there. And boy, did I want to find that person. But people reacted when they saw that film. They were affected by it. It touched them. And it touched them both ways. You never knew what you were going to get. Yeah. And then, of course, we had to deal with that public reaction. We had a good time with it, you know. There were then interviews. We went to New York City, where it opened in New York City. It was advertised on the side of buses going through Times Square. I mean, that's pretty heady stuff for somebody from Vermont. But I can tell you, all those people, and there were hundreds of people since that film was made that have said to me, "Thank you. Thank you." That's a very personal time to remember, because I never thought I would be in such a position. But to be with him, knowing that he would die shortly. And the nurse was at the end of the bed, and he was just covered lightly with a blanket over the middle part of him. And pictures of the children on the side table. So I talked to him, and I thanked him for the time we had had together. And I thanked him for the children. He was 68, and his memorial service was held on his 69th birthday. Yeah. I suppose most people, when they get divorced, figure, well, I'll never get married again, because it's painful, you know. And it doesn't make any difference, really, I guess, what caused it. The disappointment and sense of failure is there. And the sadness, and why would you want to set yourself up for that again, you know? But I don't know, I started dating, and I didn't really have any marriage in mind. I didn't think about that. I had 2 children whose lives were important to me, and my own life, I was doing different things, and then I met a man on the train, and it was a wonderful encounter. And that actually turned into a wonderful love. David and I have been together for 30 years, and we've been married for 26. It's a totally different experience. Totally different experience. Totally different marriage. I'm a different person. I'm a much different person. You know, when I look at that film, A Married Couple, I kind of think, who is she? I mean, there's an energy in this marriage that's quite different. But I'm older. I'm an older person. I don't think the same way that I thought back then. And I'm able I guess there's almost no sense of competition with my husband and I. And we really are looking to share. He too is divorced, so he has had painful experience of not having what he thought would work out. And so we're careful with each other in a way that I would say I was not careful in my first marriage. We're sorry that we were never able to have children together. We were just too old. But I have a lovely stepson, and he, in fact, has given us 6 grandchildren. So we have 7 grandchildren in all, with Bogart's daughter. That makes 7. And that's our family, you know. I'm Antoinette, and I'm half of the married couple. That is of the film A Married Couple that Alan King made. I know a lot of people wonder why it is anybody in their right mind would get engaged in such a project. It took Billy a little while. It took about 2 weeks, I think, for him to be persuaded that this was a good thing to do. But I thought it would be great right from the beginning. I didn't have anything to hide. My marriage had a lot of warts, but everybody's marriage has ups and downs and things, and I figured we could learn from it. One of the things that Alan had told us was that we could see the rushes. So we did. We saw the rushes, and in looking at them day after day after day, we could see the patterns and the things that we did to each other. And so we figured, of course, we can change that behavior and we'll fix it. We saw a behavior where we